Alright, continuing our history of Bond, we're on The Man with the Golden Gun with Roger Moore returning as James Bond and also returning as Bernard Lee as M. And Lois Maxwell as Miss Moneypenny, although Miss Moneypenny only has a brief role and is seen throughout the film. And I'm going to start doing things differently because I talk a lot about the cast. I'm going to try to dial along. I don't dial it down. I'll mention the cast here and there, but surprisingly, I actually kind of enjoyed this one. Roger Moore is still really good in this film. I don't think he's better than Connery, but he's better than Lazenby, for sure, at least at this point. They say every Bond actor has his best performance in their third film, and next is The Spy Who Loved Me, which is known as his best film, I think. We'll get to that another time. Here, it's all about this villain named Scaramanga, played wonderfully by Christopher Lee, and how Bond gets a bullet sent to him, and we find out it's actually been sent by Scaramanga's assistant, played by Maud Adams, who would be more famous for playing Octopussy in the Bond movie Octopussy. She plays Miss Anders here, and she's alright. There are some characters in here that are a little weird. You have Hip, I think his name is. He's Chinese associate of Bond in this. He's sort of, like, he's sort of like a sidekick in this, like Tiger Tanaka or I can't remember his name, but the guy from Russia with Love. He's kind of with Bond throughout the film, although he's not very good. And at one point, he even takes off on Bond. There's a scene where he has his nieces with him, and then there's a scene that really slows the film down. Look, is it a prerequisite that a Bond film has to be so long? Because there are times where I see that it drags. There's a scene where it looks like Bond has, the defining characteristic of Scaramanga is he has three nipples. So Bond disguises himself as Scaramanga with the three nipples, and it's funny when he writes to Q that he needs a fake nipple. Really, 007. Yes, a little kinky, isn't it? But, and he just strolls in. He's with Hip, and Hip's looking over, and he's like, he's in there, take a look. And so, he gets up on top of Hip, and he just jumps over. He meets this Asian girl named Chumi, which, we're in that era of Bond, folks. And then he's introduced to, the Asian bad guy of this film, Chinese, whatever. I forgot his name. Tan, something like that. I don't remember his name. Doesn't really matter. He's not much in the film. He's established that he has this whole place and whole facility, and then, Bond seems to convince him that he's Scaramanga, but it turns out he actually has met Scaramanga. Scaramanga's actually there. When he comes back, he gets knocked out, and he wakes up. He was really, it was picking up pace, and then he gets knocked out, and it slows down with Bond at this ninja school. And we see these ninja guys fighting, and then one has to fight Bond, and Bond disposes him because he goes to bow, and he kicks him in the head, which it's illegal as far as I know. And another guy comes in, and I like how this guy is looking at Bond when he bows down. That's kind of funny. And eventually, Hip shows up with his nieces, and the nieces know karate, I guess, and so does Hip, and then they dispose of some of them, but then more come, and they get in the car and drive off with Bond. I don't like Hip. I think he's a stupid addition into this. And all the allies that Bond has in this are kind of stupid. You have Miss Goodnight. Yeah, that's her name. And she is the Bond girl of the film, and she's terrible. She almost kills Bond with her ass. Yeah, I'm saying that. Scaramanga shows Bond how he's after this thing called the Solex. He has it after he kidnaps Miss Goodnight. And we were shown excruciating detail how this thing works. Because we gotta have this prerequisite scene where the Bond villain tells them the evil plan, right? So when Miss Goodnight's trying to look down to see if Bond can get the Solex, she backs up right into the machine and turns it on. And lucky for them, a cloud happens to pass over the sun, so the sun doesn't directly go down. But then I have a question. So Bond gets the Solex out, but the sun still comes down. I thought the Solex powered the thing. Maybe the sun would still. I don't know. It's very questionable. I liked Christopher Lee as the villain, as I mentioned. I also liked Hervé Villechaize as Nick Nack, his little person henchman. And yes, little person is the correct term. Here they use the word midget a lot. Not a fan of that word. Little person is more appropriate, but this was 1974, I think. So, maybe it was the times, you know. There is a funny scene, admittedly. I did kind of laugh at this, where Miss Goodnight tells off Bond. She's like, I don't want to be one of your, your little trysts or whatever. Not in those words, but she basically says that to only show up in his room later. She goes, I guess my attempt at hard to get didn't work. So they start making out, only for Miss Anders to show up, and he pretends that that Goodnight is a 3-pillow setup thing, and he kind of smacks it a little bit, and so then she wants to get him, and I'd be like, oh sure, kicking off the bed, James, why did it thud? Oh, heavy pillows, darling. That. Or, just pull it off and have a threesome. It is Bond, after all. But Bond, she goes to the bathroom to change or freshen up or whatever. And he puts Miss Goodnight in the little wardrobe thing. And then has sex with Miss Anders. And leaves her in there for 2 hours. She falls asleep. Which I don't know if I'd be able to fall asleep in there. And for her to wake up and he's like, come on now, darling. What time is it? 2 a.m. 2 a.m.? I was in there for 2 hours? It's just like, really? And then Miss Anders dies, which I found weird. Like, he walks up, starts talking to her, and she's just dead. It's like when Charles Gray died in You Only Live Twice. It's very sudden. Like, she's just sitting there. When you're dead, you don't sitting up. Your body doesn't start to stiffen until rigor mortis sets in. If she was shot, she'd go. Much like Charles Gray in the Twice, he was stabbed. He wouldn't just. He'd fall over. Your body doesn't stiffen until the rigor mortis sets in. I don't like how they portray dead people in this film. They can just sit up. They do. Because they're dead. But I digress. And then we get to the most annoying part of this film, the most unnecessary part of this film, bringing back a character from the previous film because director Guy Hamilton really liked the character, Sheriff J.W. Pepper of the Louisiana State Police. When I saw him in, in Hong Kong or something, I'm like, what is he doing here? And he was like a quick scene where he falls in the water, and that was kind of funny. But then he shows up again at a car dealership in a car that Bond steals to chase down Scaramanga when he kidnaps Miss Goodnight. And he's in there yelling, come on now, come on, get him. I know you, you're the secret agent. And it's just like, is it necessary to have this character in the film? I understand Guy Hamilton really liked this character, but in Hong Kong, that's the furthest that this redneck should be, right? That's the furthest from where he should be right now. I don't know. And then he gets arrested, I think, and there's a part where Scaramanga turns his car into a plane, which is kind of cool, And it's funny because Hervé Villechaize is in there. He doesn't say Zeppelin, but it's funny. I liked him though, walking around with his. I like when he brings them lunch and he's got this little thing and he's just walking around with the little lunch thing. It's kind of funny. I liked it. I like this movie. I really do. The show off, the face off. They're gonna have a duel with the pistols. Scaramanga's golden gun against Bond's Walther BBK. Right. 20 paces, but when Bond turns around to fire his shot, and they make a good point that he has 6 shots before they start. And it leads to this, because the beginning of this, the pre-title sequence, has the setup for this. The gangster from Diamonds Are Forever shows up, and he gets killed in this little maze or whatever, and this sets forth the climax where Bond disguises himself as the mannequin dummy that the James Bond dummy mannequin that Scaramanga has there. And what I question is, how did he get the jacket and tie on so fast? I don't know. We see him climbing the thing, and all of a sudden he's the mannequin. I don't know. But he kills Scaramanga, and then he and Miss Goodnight escape after, he get the Skolex and the thing blows up. There's a boat there, a ship there, and they're on it, and Nick Nack is on there, of course, tries to kill him, and I'm like, we find out that he, strapped up Nick Nack to the top of this thing on, a mast or whatever. It's kind of funny. But the thing is, what's really weird is that M calls him from a phone on the boat. Isn't that Scaramanga's boat? How does M get that number? I did laugh, though, because he's like, let me talk to Miss Goodnight. Okay, just a moment. And they start making out. He's like, good night. And he picks up the phone and he goes, she's just coming, sir. And they start making out more. And then he's like, good night. And he's like, good night, sir. And hangs up the phone. It is kind of funny. And then it starts playing the theme song, which, by the way, not a big fan. It's a little meh for my taste. Although I do like the instrumental version in the score. I think that's a much better version than the main one. The man with the golden gun. I mean, maybe it's just the vocals I don't like. But I did like the instrumental version that plays throughout the film. Very good. Much like Live or Let Die, it plays throughout the film, and it's very good. Overall, I really enjoyed this. I've heard bad things about Roger Moore's Bond, but so far, it's not so bad. I know by Moonraker, I think, is where it gets kind of, downhill. But this was actually pretty good. Aside from some hokey side characters and a very unnecessary one in Sheriff J.W. Pepper, which we never find out what happens to him. Does he get arrested? I don't care. He's an annoying character, and I hope he doesn't come back in any other films. Tell me he doesn't come back. Please. Tell me he doesn't come back. I can't take it anymore. Anyway. Pretty good film, all things considered. The Man with the Golden Gun. What are your thoughts on it? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one. Darling.